Hi, we're the Cranberries and we're hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
Congratulations! Grammy nomination. The 62nd Grammys are like right around the corner. Like, what does having a Grammy nomination mean to the band? Especially because like the title of the debut album, like how important was that for you guys?
Oh yeah, I mean it's fantastic to be nominated for first time as well. So we were quite surprised. It's kind of like the icing on the cake as well of everything too. So we're delighted with the nomination. Yeah.
And then, talk to me about, the creative process behind this record. Like, obviously, the vocals were all demos. But, when you guys went into the studio and went back with Steven, how much more did you guys kind of had to add to that?
We kind of, basically had the vocal, pull down all the faders and everything else and started from scratch, really.
Yeah.
And for us, it was, once we heard the demos and the vocals were so strong, it kind of was a no-brainer, really, to go and do this. We knew Dolores was excited to go in and do this album. So I think between us all, everyone involved, it made it a really special project for us.
When you guys first started working on this record back in 2007, did the mindset that you guys had now, like on this final product of the album, like was that the same mindset that you guys had when you first started writing it?
No, it was 2017, not 2007.
Did I say 2007?
Yeah. It's lost 10 years. I said, whoa, hold on a second.
A long time ago.
But yeah, obviously it changed, as time went on, and after the news that Dolores had passed away and everything, it was a completely different mindset by the time we got in the studio.
Yeah.
We weren't even sure if we were going to be able to do it. We kind of said we'll give it a week and see how we get on after that first week. And I think we had 3 or 4 songs nearly finished by the first week, and it was okay, we got to keep going. This is meant to be,
Yeah. You guys brought Steven on board again. He's been working with you guys for a few of the other records. I think the last record that he worked on you guys with was Roses in 2012. So, coming back into that, like, how much different was the session with Steven now that, you guys kind of stepped away from him for a little bit to do different routes with producers?
Yeah, like we've come and gone with Stephen over the years, so it was not really different for us in that sense. Obviously, the biggest thing is Dolores wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I mean, when we sent him the demos and explained to him we wanted to do this, he more or less dropped everything else he was doing, and it was his idea to come and do this. He was like, we should do it now, not let a year or two go by and nobody, we might not feel the same about it. So like it was a weird process, really, very, very emotional. But I mean, you hear the end result then and you think we definitely did the right thing.
Right.
And having Stephen there, it's impossible to imagine doing this without him there.
Now, and speaking of like being emotional during the process, like for me, listening to the record, this is, the first time we meet. So like I had no relationship with the band physically other than being like a fan, but, listening to the song like Lost, like that just impacted me. Like I felt all sorts of emotions. Like I was part of the band for quite some time. So like, how was that for you guys in the studio?
Yeah, it was quite emotional, especially Lost, because the vocals and the lyrics and that are fantastic. And but I think Dolores used to write about things that had happened to her in her life, and she'd write it down and kind of tend to move on. But she was in a really good place before what happened as well,
Yeah.
So it was like it's like all the songs are about that, where she'd kind of, if she go through an experience or something, she'd write it down and then just move on and get on with it. So it is quite emotional in that sense as well, the whole album, yeah.
And like as far as like collaborating with writing, you guys have been writing the song or the album for some time. Where was the mindset when you guys first started working on this record? Like, what was the idea behind the album or the lyrics that you guys were writing?
Well, for Dolores, Dolores always did all the lyrics, so that all has to be credited to her. And I think she was coming out of a point in her life where she'd been through a lot, like personally, professionally, and she wanted to kind of move on from that. And her way of her therapy mainly was like to write songs about these things. So we finished the tour of 2017, and then she was really keen to start writing new songs because we hadn't really done a new album since 2012.
Right.
We had released a kind of an acoustic album, but they were all our older songs that we had reworked. So she kept talking about, we got to get back in and do a new song. So she kind of she kept saying, I have a lot to say right now, which is the result of a lot of these songs. And that was really the kind of mindset behind it. Then what happened, and it does sound like she's talking about the end of another thing, but it's actually the end of a part of her life that she'd kind of moved on from.
Right. When you guys got together to do the instrumental recordings, did you guys try anything different this time around in the studio for this record?
I don't think so. It was just something that clicked. You know, when we played together, when all four of us played together, there was a Cranberries sound, and it's the same with, you know, in there, because Dolores was in her earphones, and we were three of us in a room together playing, which is what we'd normally do anyway.
Right.
So it was pretty much the same process, and it just really clicked, because there's that kind of magic element when we play that you can't put your finger on it. It's just something that we can always sense what's going to happen next, you know.
Right. As you guys, you know, kind of evolved with every record and different tours and so on, like how much of growth do you guys feel you guys had individually, like as far as like being performers from the beginning of the band?
I mean, it was huge. I mean, when we first started, we were so nervous. Dolores would kind of turn sideways. I kind of had long hair, and I used to kind of put it down over my face, because I was at the back. It wasn't too bad, but the two boys were in the front, and you know, heads down.
You know, shoegazers, you know, that type of thing. So it's
But as time goes on, then you realise that people are just there to enjoy themselves. They don't want to see you make a mistake or anything. So you kind of learn to just be more relaxed about it and try and enjoy it. And then, you know, after a year or two, we were really into playing live and just got better and better at it all the time.
Did you guys each have like different times in, you know, throughout the career where you realize, okay, we've made it, like this is it? Like for me, the first time that I heard of the band was maybe around 2005. I was a little late with that, but I had come across a friend that did a skate video, and he added Dreams to the track, and that was like my first listen of the band, and since then I've been kind of hooked. But what impacted you guys, like, to say like, hey, we made it?
I suppose probably when we came to America the first time, Linger took off on college radio, and we were heading home after a tour that we were doing in Europe with some other Irish band, and the record company said, come over to the States, and we started doing shows, and we couldn't believe it just took off. I'm overnight over here. Yeah. So we were kind of doing 2 shows a day type of thing, and trying to keep up with everything, like, and it was crazy at the time. That was probably the first time we noticed when we kind of took off. Yeah.
Would that be the same for you guys, or did you guys have a different?
Yeah, I mean, those whole first few years, like, you realise we'd become so big all of a sudden. It's really hard to kind of know exactly how big you are when you're in the middle of it. You're kind of getting up and you're kind of going to work in some ways, and you're getting on with it. And I think anytime we went home and we took time off is when you realise you kind of suddenly, oh yeah, we are actually massive. You know, you're bigger than you think you are. But it's nice because we've always tried to stay as grounded as we can, with, you know, kind of go and do this and enjoy it, and then go back, you know, to where we come from in Ireland, and kind of live normal lives then.
Yeah. Same?
Yeah, when we were doing that first American tour, myself and Mike used to share a room. We used to be watching MTV, and then it was like, you know, high rotation or whatever they call it with Linger. It was like, it's on again. I was like, oh God, turn it off after a while.
We got our own rooms. We did. I didn't have to share no more. So
we made it then. We got our own rooms.
So lastly, you guys started working on a documentary a couple years back. Is that documentary still in the process, or where are you guys at with that?
Yeah, it's the early stages. We have footage from when we began. It's about 4 years ago now. So those interviews are there. And
Not 2006.
No. And it's kind of, we're kind of coming, I guess, to the end of this cycle with this album now, and we'll kind of focus on that a bit more now and kind of get that properly up and going. We're not the best for organising things, you know. Yeah.